The December 1986 uprising in Alma-Ata, also known as Желтоқсан uprising, was a series of protests and demonstrations that took place in the Kazakh Soviet Socialist Republic against the Soviet government's decision to appoint an outsider as the first secretary of Communist Party of Kazakhstan. The protests began on the 16th of December 1986 and lasted for several days, resulting in a violent clash between the protesters and the Soviet authorities. The incident is considered to be a significant event in the history of Kazakhstan, as it marked the beginning of a political awakening that ultimately led to the country's independence.
The cause of the Желтоқсан uprising can be traced back to the Soviet government policy towards the Kazakh SSR. The Soviet authorities had been following a policy Russification with aimed at reducing the influence of the Kazakh languages and the culture in the region, and this policy had resulted in a growing sense of frustration and anger among the Kazakh people, who felt that their identity and the culture were being separated by the Soviet government. Moreover, the appointment of the outside, the first secretary of Communist Party Kazakh, was seen as clear violation of the principle of regional autonomy which was granted to the Kazakh SSR under the Soviet constitution. The process began with a small group of students who gathered in the central square of Alma-Ata to express their dissatisfaction with the appointment of Gennady Kolban as the first secretary of the Communist Party of Kazakhstan. The process soon spread of other parts of the city, with thousands of people who joined the protest demanded the removal of Kolban, the appointment of Kazakh as the first secretary of Communist Party of Kazakhstan.
Historical significance. The December 1986 uprising in Almaty was a pivotal event in the history of Kazakhstan and the Soviet Union. It marked the beginning of a period of political and economic reform in the Soviet Union, which ultimately led to the collapse of the Soviet system. The uprising also had a significant impact on the development of Kazakh nationalism, which played a key role in the country's independence movement in the early 1990s. The uprising inspired similar movements throughout the Soviet Union, including the Baltic states, which ultimately achieved independence in the early 1990s.
Conclusion. The December 1986 uprising in Almaty was a significant event that had far-reaching consequences for Kazakhstan and the Soviet Union as a whole. The uprising was a response to a range of social, economic, and political issues that had been building up for years. The Soviet government's heavy-handed response to the uprising and the significant political consequences, and marked the beginning of a period of political and economic reform in the Soviet Union. The uprising also had a significant impact on the development of Kazakh nationalism and inspired similar movements throughout the Soviet Union. Overall, the December 1986 uprising in Almaty was a pivotal event in the history of the Soviet Union that marked the beginning of a period of profound change and transformation.